my name is Bryn Schimmel with Eastern Nebraska Community Action Partnership, and this is the January episode of Community Action Now. Thank you for joining us. Today we have first with us Joe Giles, who's the Executive Director of the Women's Fund of Omaha. So we're going to be talking with Joe today about that. Would you tell us, first of all, just a little bit about your background and you yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's a delight to be here with you today. My background is I grew up in South Georgia and Florida. I went to college in St. Louis at Washington University, and then I went to graduate school at Mizzou, the University of Columbia, Missouri and Columbia. And then I started my broadcasting career by working at a television station in Columbus, Georgia. And then I made my way to Omaha. 19 years ago this month, it was snowy and cold, but thankfully I was used to being in the Midwest because I went to college. So I worked at KPTM Fox 42, and I had a wonderful time covering all sorts of stories in Omaha, and then I worked at the Med Center in PR. So the first part of my career was as a journalist and then working in public relations. And then I started working in public policy, working in the Nebraska legislature. So communications and then public policy work. And then I ended up as the executive director at the Women's Fund, which I absolutely enjoy and love.
Tell us about Women's Fund of Omaha. So kind of what is it? How did it come about? How did you end up there?
Yeah, so the Women's Fund has been around now for our 32nd year.
Okay.
It was started by a group of women who realized that there were other women's funds that were operating in other states across our country, and decided, well, Omaha needed one as well. And so they really started looking at a couple of issues. One of them was women in leadership, particularly looking at things like the wage gap. Even today, 32 years into the Women's Fund, women are making on average 82 cents on the dollar compared to men. So there's a pay equity gap, which is directly related to economic justice issues, right? So that impacts not only women if they're single earners or as part of a household, but that really impacts our whole economy system. So they were looking at women in leadership issues. They were also looking at domestic violence and sexual assault, how that impacts women.
Absolutely.
And particularly childcare issues. So again, another issue that we're still looking at and dealing with, particularly as we're sort of still in the middle of COVID, right? People are still looking at how we can afford childcare. So those were some of the key issues that the Women's Fund was founded upon, and we're still working on those issues 32 years later. We're also looking at adolescent health. So even today, the 4 pillars of our organization are women in leadership, domestic violence, sexual assault, and sex trafficking, which we look at as part of our freedom from violence issue. So anyone that's dealing with gender-based oppression and violence. Sexual health literacy, which is comprehensive sexual health education for adolescents aged 15 to 24. So we have an adolescent health project that provides free STI, so sexually transmitted infections, STI testing and treatment. So we have a variety of community health workers and health clinics that we partner with and that we give grant funding to throughout our community, that really creates a systemic approach to helping young people have the access that they need to get testing, treatment, free condoms, and health information across our community. And then we do economic justice work, which is related to policy. So if we really want to change how women are treated in our community, in our state, we believe that there's a public policy solution to that. So those are the 4 pillars that we work on starting 32 years ago, and that we continue that work today.
Very cool. So just a couple of small things you guys got going on.
Just big things that we have going on. We continue to pound the pavement and work for gender equity.
Awesome. So what other types of like programs do you have to kind of go along with those pillars, with those goals?
Yeah, so we're really excited about our Women in Leadership, which is our Circles initiative. So what we often find is that men tend to have intentional or intentional networking opportunities, right?
Sure.
They may go golfing, or they may go grab a beer sometime after work.
Sure.
So what we've done is created a Circles program. So it's a 3-year cohort of individuals that go through a selection process. And actually today we're launching our class 11. So they're meeting right now, which is super excited. We extended our class. We had 155 applicants this year.
Wow, okay.
For 30 spots.
Okay,
which
wow.
is like incredible, the amount of energy and excitement of people that want to be in this space.
And these are like professional women?
These are professional, community-driven women that want to be connected to the Women's Fund, that are looking for opportunities to engage in advocacy and the issues that we care about, that want to be connected, and are looking for leadership opportunities. So the first year they do a small group project. The second year they have opportunities to serve on the programming committee, or the diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, or the programming committee, and then they can elevate and be part of the leadership committee within Circles. So it gives women and people that identify as female opportunities to grow their leadership skills and to network with other people within that community. So each year, as the 3-year journey continues, they're part of the next class. So when you're 11, you also network with the class that's 12, then you network with the class that's 13. So at any time, there are 90 incredible, amazing leaders that are part of this program. And so that they get to launch out into the community and influence the many neighborhoods and workplaces and communities that they're a part of to continue to do great, amazing work for gender equity.
So you do launch a new program each year?
Each year.
Okay.
Yes.
But each class goes through 3 years.
Goes through 3
very
years.
Cool.
And so that's a part of our Women in Leadership initiative.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing.
That's awesome. So you mentioned some of the community health workers that you work with. Who are some other partners that Women's Fund really does a lot of work with?
So even under our Freedom from Violence initiative, which is domestic violence, sexual assault, and sex trafficking work, we partner this year with 15 community organizations that we pull together into a collaborative that we work with best practices. We tackle different initiatives together, whether that's sexual assault or domestic violence. So some of those organizations include U-Turn, Black and Pink, Heartland Family Services, the WCA, so Women's Center for Advancement, Immigrant Legal Center. So we are not, as the Women's Fund, a direct service provider. So for example, if someone is facing a crisis, they may call us, but we are not able to have a caseworker, for example, that would meet with them as an advocate and walk them through a process.
But you can refer
them. But we refer them to our community partners. We collaborate with our community partners, so we're a funder, but we also work with our community partners directly to help individuals get connected to advocates who can provide those direct services. So we work on the policies, we help them identify gaps within the system so that advocates are getting the services that they need from our partners, but we also look at the systemic issues that are happening across our partners and bring them together to talk about, wait a minute, what are you hearing from survivors? And is there a policy solution, or is there something we can do as you all are meeting the needs of survivors, that we can help you make a difference for the survivors so their experience is better, so they're addressing things a lot quicker. Maybe there's an issue that's happening in the court system for accountability, that we can work with the court system or with probation or with law enforcement so that there can be accountability measures that make sense for survivors.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
You've been with the Women's Fund for how long?
So about 20 months.
Okay. What would you say in your time there so far, what are some of the things that you have been most proud of, like the Women's Fund accomplishing? Have there been any big wins?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm so excited for the team that we have built in such a short amount of time. We are fully staffed, so we have amazing, It feels so good. We have an amazing team that do this really hard work. I mean, the issues that we tackle each and every day are challenging, but we do it with such amazing expertise, and we have a great team that we can laugh together. I mean, we were just having a really silly conversation yesterday about Crocs.
All right.
Right. Many of us are parents, and
Yep.
we were laughing about our young people in our lives that love Crocs and the adults that do not. But we find ways to bring levity and joy in our lives as we are dealing with some really
Hard stuff,
hard things. But we've also had some incredible wins on the policy front.
Yeah.
So last year, we passed 2 bills that directly impact the lives of survivors. So one of those bills was a survivor anonymity bill.
Okay.
And oftentimes, if survivors choose to report abuse to law enforcement, prior to this bill being passed, their information would be part of a public incident report. So now that this bill has been passed, it shields their identity for a period of time for law enforcement to go through and determine if charges will be filed. So it gives survivors a period of time where they can connect with an advocate, they can get to a safe place.
Yeah, kind of an extra layer of security.
An extra layer of security, because that is the time when there's fear of retaliation by their abuser.
Absolutely, right.
So we listen to survivors. We make sure survivors are in the center of all that we do, and so that is a really great step that gives them that privacy. So survivor anonymity bill.
Awesome.
We also passed a bill that is a domestic violence death review team. So Nebraska was one of 7 states that did not have this before we passed it last year.
Okay.
So any instance where there has been a death that included domestic violence as part of that person or that family's history, that now will be investigated by a team that includes law enforcement, victims advocates, social workers, probation, that will review those deaths and then look at ways that could have been potentially prevented. So there were 8 domestic violence death review cases last year in 2022.
Wow.
So that team is now starting to meet and is going to be reviewing those cases, looking for ways that they can be improved in the future. So those are direct reasons that this work is going to make life better for Nebraskans.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. It's such important work. What are some of your big goals or projects going into this new year?
Yeah, so exciting. So we're already into the legislative session. So we've introduced 2 bills for our team. One is about child care eligibility.
Okay.
So during COVID, many working parents saw that there was an extension. So they were able to now be able to afford a little bit more high quality childcare for their families. So we're wanting to be able to extend that eligibility a little bit longer. So there's a report that's being worked on with the Department of Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
So this bill would extend eligibility for 3 more years. So we're hoping that that can get passed for a lot of working families, and particularly a lot of those are women who are working and need childcare availability.
Yes.
So another common sense solution, we also introduced a bill with Senator Blood that would provide extra protection orders for household pets. Many times survivors have household pets, cats or dogs, and abusers will threaten to harm them or have harmed them.
Yeah.
And I think the statistic was something like 25% of survivors may not leave an abusive situation because a household animal will be harmed. So just updating the protection order to include a line item for the reason to leave may include a household pet. So we're working with the Humane Society on that. Nebraska is one of 37 states that does not have a specific line item for household pets. So something else that we're looking at, wanting to update for Nebraskans to have that option.
Very cool.
So lots of things, and then of course we're looking to continue our support for reproductive access in our state. That is important for bodily autonomy. It's important for economic justice.
Yeah.
We were able to defend against 3 extreme anti-abortion bills last session, and we'll be continuing to support access this session as well.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for being here and for all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
You can always go to the Women's Fund of Omaha website or their Facebook pages to keep up on what's going on and to get in touch with them. Last thing, important, I know we're getting close to time, but if we could just tell people how they can either support you guys or get in touch with you if they need help.
Yes, if they would love to support us, we are continuing to do advocacy work. We have our big annual luncheon coming up. It'll be October 12th this year at the CHI Center. Our theme is Women in Leadership, so we're excited to bring another fantastic speaker to Omaha this year. So if they just go to our website at omahawomen'sfund.org, they can find out all the information about buying fun merchandise if they'd like, to donate to us, to help us continue this work.
Awesome, and we'll put that all up on the screen, all that contact info. But thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Where can you watch KPAO Community Television? You know, the channel with all of the local shows. If you live in the Omaha area, Cox Channel 22 HD is your place. If you prefer streaming, go to kpaoTVOmaha.org. And now, if you have the Apple TV box, grab our app and watch us there. KPAO on cable, streaming live, and now on Apple TV.
Hi, I'm Mike DiGiacomo, a born and raised American and a food lover, and I invite you to join me as we discover the origins of flavor, the journey of spices, and the recipes of the world.
Welcome back to January's episode of Community Action Now. We're in a new year, 2023. Thank you guys for being here. On the first half of the show, we had Joe Giles, who is the Executive Director for Women's Fund of Omaha. And we're pivoting topics just a little bit here, but our guest now for the second half of the show is Blake, and he is the Executive Director of SkateFest Omaha. So tell us a little bit about SkateFest Omaha first. What is it?
Yeah, so SkateFest Omaha, we host a lot of events, community organizing, and youth programs for the inner city of Omaha. And
you're a nonprofit?
Yep.
Okay. How did you create this nonprofit? How did it come about?
Yeah, so I've been skateboarding for about like 15 years now. And so I just always had a deep passion for skateboarding and the skateboarding culture and what it represents. And a couple years ago, I just wanted to do something for the skate culture in Omaha. So just got a group of friends together and decided to throw an event. So the event went really well, and then we were like, man, we need to do more of these. And then so after that was at the beginning of the summer. We just started hosting an event every single month.
Okay.
So.
And how many years now have you guys been doing this?
We started in June 2021.
Okay.
So it's the beginning, like a year and a half.
Okay, so still pretty young.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. And what are the events like? Like, what is a SkateFest Omaha event?
Yeah, so typically a SkateFest Omaha event, we do different events. So we do like art shows, we do competitions. Those are actually our big events. Okay. And then we also do like smaller, more intimate events. And then we'll just go up to like random street skate spots and then host an event there as well. We've done like hill bombs where we have like a ton of people, a ton of like youth and skateboarders come through and just pretty much ride down a hill together. And yeah, we try to keep it safe, but yeah, skateboarders, we get a little wild sometimes.
So what kind of partners do you guys typically work with?
Yeah, so we do a lot with the arts. So we partner a lot with a bunch of with art organizations.
Okay.
So we've partnered with the Kaneko. We've partnered with Benson First Fridays. We partner with the Union for Contemporary Arts,
yeah.
Doing a lot of youth programs, and they support our events as well. Yeah, so they'll come through, like BFF, they brought their mobile art gallery to one of our SkateFest events.
Cool.
We've thrown SkateFest events at Benson First Fridays, so they gave us like a street to host our mobile skate park that we have.
Okay.
So we've done things with them. But yeah, typically when we partner with arts organizations or anything like that, it's youth programming. Yeah.
Tell me, so you mentioned the mobile skate park. What is that?
Yeah, so a friend of mine just kind of built had a trailer and wanted to build a skate park out of it.
Okay.
And so we were like, let's do it. So we hosted a art show where we gave out 10 different skateboards to 10 different artists in the city, and then auctioned them off in support of the mobile skate park.
Cool.
And so we were able to do that.
And so that money that you raised
Supported that. Yep.
built,
Yeah.
paid to have that built, basically?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And some community foundation helped out with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. And then you mentioned youth programming. So what kinds of youth programming are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we kind of have like a different scale that we do. So if organizations are just interested in maybe like a one-day thing, we call them demos, where we bring out skaters from the community. We'll bring out our mobile skate park and just have like a little event where people, the skateboarders, can show off their tricks to like kids, whether it be a assembly or a pep rally or something like that. Yeah, with that for the demos, it's typically used to get kids interested in skateboarding.
Okay.
And then from there, we do our skate camps,
Okay.
which is where we give youth skateboards and teach them what each component does. And then we have them design their own skateboards, and then we give them some lessons at the end.
Cool.
And so usually that lasts around like 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
Yep, so it's like a week-long thing. And then our longer program is the skate school, and that's where we give out progression cards to the youth with like different skill levels on each card. So ranging from like a simple, like how to ride your skateboard, all the way up to like doing kickflips or riding on ramps or something like that.
Okay.
So it goes level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so
how long do those last?
So those are usually around a month
Okay.
to 2 months.
Okay. And is it like a class like every weekday, once a week?
Yep. So it's once a week.
Okay.
So yeah. So we kicked those off last year, and we're looking to grow those this year. So we're partnering with a bunch of schools, OPS,
Yeah.
and nonprofits on that.
Cool. About how many kids did you have in programs last year?
So total programs, we had around 50 to 60.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. And
Cool.
then events, we had, through our competitions, we probably had 100 plus youth signups for the
Okay.
competitions.
Is it mostly like local people for competitions, or do people come from other places?
Yeah, so it's mostly local,
Okay.
but we do get a good amount of people that come from out of state or neighboring cities.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, looking to grow those this year.
Cool. About how many of those do you usually do a year, you think?
So this upcoming year, we'll be doing 3 big events, though we call those our SkateFest events.
Yeah.
And we host those at different skate parks. So we'll be doing 3 of those. We'll do one in May, we'll do one in July, and then one in September.
Okay.
Yeah, so those usually attract around like 500 to 700 people.
Cool.
So that's like our core of what SkateFest is. So we try to
Yeah.
make those cool.
Is there a big kind of skate culture in Omaha?
Yeah, there actually is. We have a lot of skateboarders here. There just wasn't, when we first started, which is why we started, there wasn't a lot of organizations doing things to support
Yeah.
the skate community. And so that's originally why we started, was just to give something the community can look forward to, connect, and yeah, ultimately thrive.
Very cool. Yeah, that sounds like a really cool way for a lot of community partners to come together and to kind of get to populations that other organizations might not get to
Yep.
from that angle. So if people want to participate in your programs, or if they want to come to your events or compete in your events, how would they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, so you can follow us on our Instagram at SkateFest Omaha. That's typically where we post the most information.
Okay.
And then we have a Facebook as well that we post a lot of information on.
Yeah.
It's SkateFest Omaha as well.
Okay. We'll put all that up on the screen for people.
Cool, appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then we also have a website, skatefestomaha.com.
Okay. Is there anything that you're looking forward to specifically this year?
Man, I'm so excited to grow our programs. Yeah, we're partnering with around like 10 different schools and nonprofits.
Awesome.
Throughout North and South Omaha this year. So I'm really excited about that. And then our events are going to go crazy as well.
Cool. If there are any organizations that are interested in like supporting you guys or working with you guys or hosting an event, would they get in touch with you the same way through your social media, your website, or is there another way that they would get in touch with you to get involved?
Yeah, you can get, I would suggest through our website,
Okay.
or you can email me directly at blake@skatefestomaha.com.
Okay.
So,
very cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here and for kind of telling us a little bit more about SkateFest. I did very briefly consider asking you to bring a skateboard and do some stuff,
Should've done
but
that.
I thought maybe not this time, but maybe another time.
Next time. Next
All
time.
right, sounds good. Well, hey, thank you for being here. Thank you guys for tuning in to both of our guests today. And as always, for more information, you can check out any of NCAP's websites or social media or any of the social media pages of our guests today to get involved. And otherwise, thank you for helping us keep people safe, fed, and housed. And we'll see you next month.